PE teacher just because of plot just drags the two girls away, like, oh, I need you to do something, and they're like, wait, can't it wait? And they're like, nope.
I was nearly in tears with frustration at that bit.
Welcome, everyone, to OCHATO, the fortnightly podcast where we drink tea and review manga. I am Jade.
I'm Oliver.
And I'm Swan.
So every 2 weeks, we pick a manga that one of us has recommended and we read up to a certain chapter and discuss the manga with a megaton of spoilers. This week, we are reading Kimi ni Todoke by Karuho Shiina, up to and including chapter number 16. Recommended by me. But before diving in, we must know the answer to the most important question. What is everyone drinking in their mug?
Just see off screen Ollie running to the kitchen.
I forgot what I was drinking. I'm drinking Moonlight by Teapot Cafetiere, as in cafe-t-air aire.co.uk.
Wow.
I think one of you two got me this. It is still delicious. Thank you. I'm nearing the end.
Not me.
Not me.
It was one of you two.
Definitely not me.
It might have been my brother, actually. Nonetheless, it is delicious.
What are the ingredients? What does it taste of?
Jade, you've called me out here. I'm not gonna lie to you. I got one of the different packets from the same thing. It's like candied. So this is off of memory. It's green tea and it's got candied mango, papaya, and some other things in there. So it's like a kind of sweet-ish green tea with like some fruity notes. It's really nice, actually, but quite sweet. What are you drinking?
I am drinking Hong Kong style milk tea. It's last sachet from. So for context, Ollie and Suellen came up and we drank Hong Kong style milk tea, and yeah, I'm just finishing it today.
How is it different to just milky, sugary black tea?
It smells more carroty.
Carroty?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah,
I don't know. It's definitely sweeter, and I feel like it's got a more of like a smoky, oaky taste to it. It's a really nice flavor. Like it's very like woody, I'd say. But yeah, that's what I'm drinking. Got a nice big mug full of that. So Ellen, what are you drinking?
Yeah, I'm still trying to finish the Bird and Blend popping Xmas butter toffee popcorn flavor.
Was this the one from last Christmas?
Yeah, it's been a year.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of tea.
There is a lot of tea.
They give you like 3 packets. How am I supposed to finish that? But yeah, and I had the puka tea as well. So, but yeah, it's still good. Very toffee and popcorny and buttery. Not very Christmas yet because it's not the time. Not feeling that vibe just yet, but it's definitely desserty.
All right, so we are reading Kimi ni Todoke by Karuho Shiina, first published in 2005. It's basically set in high school, and it's about a girl called Sawako, who is perceived by her peers, classmates, as being very like creepy, very like ominous, with an ominous vibe about her. However, there's also the most popular boy in school called Shouta Kazehaya, who she perceives as very refreshing, and she really looks up to him and respects him. The whole story is basically about them developing their friendship first and then developing their sort of budding romance in a high school setting. There's also side characters who are their friends. So Sawako, at the start, she's very much sort of on her own. But then she manages to make a lot of friends, and Kazehaya also has friends, and then it's just this core group that you have. And then there's also this other girl called Ume Kurumizawa,
Nice.
who has a crush on Kazehaya, and she's sort of slightly jealous of Sawako because, you know, they're obviously close. And does anyone she exists in this world, and so that's, you know, just a sweet shoujo coming of age manga. And so after reading these chapters, what were your first impressions of this manga?
For my part, I found it very 2005, or when did it come out? 2005, 2006, did we say? 2005, yeah. You could kind of tell it came out in 2005. I feel like it played a lot of the tropes, a lot of the kind of romance quite straight. The art was very pretty. No complaints there. I like that. But I did find the interactions between Kazehaya and Sawako, that being the kind of the two main interests, maybe a little frustrating. I'll go into more later. So I guess first impressions were kind of mixed from me. How about you, Sulan?
Yeah, for me, I thought it was a really cute manga. It's definitely a relic of its time. You can sort of tell. And yeah, I thought the impression was that, it was cute. It had a lot of the tropes of having a very relentlessly optimistic protagonist who's oblivious to the things around her, who's like, oh, he just thought I'm, his friend. There's no romance there. What am I talking? What are you talking about? Brushes. Yeah.
Was that a Gollum reference?
I have no idea what you were talking about. Gollum?
Well, you said precious at the end there, right?
Oh, right. Blushes.
Oh, I thought you said precious. I'm now imagining Sawako like, he doesn't like me, does he, precious? Just not the impression I had before, but we'll go with it.
Precious. No. I think it didn't leave a strong impression on me, in terms of impressions. It's cute, and I liked some, cute moments. There were some cute panels, but that's I don't know. I don't feel any depth to it. It tried to emulate some depth to, especially the side characters, the two Sawako's girlfriends,
Yano and Yoshida.
And I thought they were cool, but there was just some, I guess, because of the genre, there's some sort of unnecessary drama that happens. I don't know, I just feel like, it's a relic of its time. It was cute, but it's a bit weak for my taste.
Jade, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, so I think I read this when I was a teenager, and I thought the two main characters were really, really cute. To be honest, I wasn't that invested in the side characters' stories. I don't know if any of you have seen the live action movie as well. I think that was released not too long after. I want to say like early 2010s, perhaps. But I thought that the two main characters represented what high school students who, had crushes on each other would actually be like. Yeah, I think I believed in the two main characters more, in the sense that I just really liked their dynamic. Whereas for the side characters, they were nice to have, and I guess, there is sort of story progression sometimes with them. You get character development with them as well, so it's nice to see changes happening slowly over time.
I do think it had quite a lot of heart going into it, and we get a lot of inner monologues, shall we say, and sometimes outer monologues by Sawako. And I think that if this hits at the right time in your life, you could definitely form a lot of an emotional connection to it. And that heart does definitely come through for me. When I first read it, I got a bit frustrated. This was actually a little while back now, but having since reflected on it a little more, I do think that the heart comes through, and it's nice having generally wholesome characters, because in life in general, and I feel like in secondary school, most people aren't actively there to be mean, right? And there's not a huge amount of drama. Obviously, it's a manga, it's a romance manga, it's a shoujo manga, should we say. There's going to be some level of drama, right? But the fact that, for example, Kazehaya, the main love interest, is popular, but also just genuinely a nice guy, helps. And I think that part's maybe a bit more realistic about the characterizations than having either somebody having a crush on somebody that's nice but then completely unrecognized, or is very popular but is just an awful person. And so having the main character being popular and nice and also kind of interested in our main lead is quite nice. Although I do think that then what does Kazehaya have that sets him as a character, as a main love interest, apart? And I think that's maybe where we get back to it being, I guess, kind of 2005, where he is the trope. He is it played straight. He doesn't set himself apart because he's the one that like sets the main path, if that makes sense.
Do you think it's because Sawako was chewing 5 gum by any chance? It's just so refreshing.
So refreshing.
Yeah. No, I like your take on this. Yeah, I do agree that there are a lot of wholesome moments. Speaking of wholesome, what makes a story wholesome can sometimes be the characters. Now, what did you guys think of the characters in Kimi no Todoke?
For the side characters, I think, bear in mind, we've only had 16 chapters, right? So it's not had that much of a chance to develop them. I do think that there's a lot of potential with many of the side characters to be really interesting and to kind of pull our main couple in different ways. I don't think they've yet had much of a chance to shine, but I'm looking forward to seeing what they do. What were your thoughts?
Without them being there, like this story wouldn't really be here.
Because the girls like sort of pushes her a bit, right, to be more forthcoming with her feelings and what she wants to do. And because technically they were the first people that she talked to saying, oh, I want to volunteer for the Halloween event. Speaking of which, it's coming up soon.
Halloween is indeed coming up at the time of recording.
Yeah. So yeah, and then they're the ones who sort of was like started to realize, oh, she's not who she appeared to be, or we perceive her to be, and gave her small acts of kindness, kind of brought her out of her shell to be more confident in herself, and then be the ones who, in a way, stood up for her in the class, in the sense that just not afraid of sitting next to her when everyone was like, oh, I hope I don't sit next to that creepy girl, like. And then they took the lead, was like, we want to sit next to her, like, because she's our friend. And so all of that, like, it kind of reminds me now you're, damn you guys, now you're making me feel like this manga is like more deserves more credit than I'm giving it, because now I'm thinking back to like Mob Psycho, which is, there's like a scene in like season 2, it's not really a spoiler, where like a character was challenging Mob, the main protagonist of Mob Psycho 100, that you were pathetic just like me, you have so much power, why not use it to like get your revenge? But then he's like, well, thank God I didn't turn out like you, because sure, we started out the same, but I had all these wonderful people around me who showed me acts of kindness, who comforted me when I'm there, and I turned out to be a completely different person. So it's kind of like that sense, right, Jade, that you were saying, that these people sort of brought her. It's not just about like a romance between her and that mint boy.
Fair saying now.
Yeah, that's our nickname for him now. It's more about her coming out of her shell, and as a result, as a byproduct, hopefully, that she can actually explore a adorable high school romance with her crush, So yeah.
Indeed. Maybe it's that we've only read 16 chapters, which I think are 4 volumes in this, but it's much more of a slow burn story than some other ones. So to contrast, while I was reading this, I was also reading Tamen Diguchi, which is like I think a Korean girls' love comic or something. It's just a very like very gay, very funny. It's really a comedy.
Chinese. It's Chinese.
Yeah. Oh, is it Chinese? My bad.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, I was reading it and it moves so much more quickly. And so while I was reading Kimi ni Todoke, and there was a lot of kind of, does he like me? Does he not? Will I do this? Will I not? And like misunderstandings. That story was absolutely shooting through the romance. And they have a scene where the main character basically sees somebody that she likes, and she like stops playing basketball, walks out, goes to talk to the other person. She's like, I like you. Can I carry your bag? It's like, yes, this is the kind of aggressive, you see something you want, go and talk to them kind of thing that was refreshing. And I think similarly, I may have then undersold or had Kimi ni Todoke undersold to me, in the sense that it's not the same kind of romance. It's a much more of a slow burn and much more of a trying to, I guess, come from the heart and talk about the feelings rather than being like half comedy or something. Sorry, a little bit of a sidetrack there, but I do think it's, I guess, important for how we see the characters and how we see this plot progression, where the plot itself in these chapters, I don't feel a huge amount happened, if that makes sense.
So in volume 1, we're introduced to Sawako, and she's 15, and we learn a lot about her personality and how she hasn't got a lot of friends in school. And then we're also introduced to Kazehaya, Shouta Kazehaya, and in volume 1 it's sort of her learning to sort of like talk to people and like start to make these connections in her life. Volume 2 is Sawako connecting with her 2 friends, the 2 girls, Yano and Yoshida. And in this volume, she also deals with really, really horrible rumors going around that were spread by school bullies about Yano and Yoshida, which Sawako desperately wants to try and clear up. But I mean, there's a bit of miscommunication there as well, because for a while Yano and Yoshida think that Sawako doesn't really like them, I think, and doesn't want to be friends with them, or thinks that they aren't friends. However, Sawako ultimately stands up for them in the bathroom. This is the bit that made me tear up. The whole standing up for your friends thing. That was really, really nice to see. And that that shows Sawako's own character development as well, in sort of like protecting this friendship, which was really nice to see. Volume 3 deals with Sawako and Ume for the first time. So Ume really tries hard to be Sawako's friend, but on a sort of surface level, because Ume knows that Sawako is close to Kazehaya, and she also wants to be close to Kazehaya. So that's basically what happens in volume 3. Volume 4 is a sort of realization volume of sorts, because Ryu has a conversation with Sawako about what love is, and then she starts to realize that she really, 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 really likes Kazehaya. And there's some stuff that happens with the PE coach that I have totally forgotten about, because I've just filtered him out of my mind, because I just didn't register him really. That's all the chapters that we've read so far.
Yeah, I thought, it's a typical high school romance, set in high school. The classrooms would be its setting. No, I kid. But yeah, I think like I said, there was a lot of, you can see a lot of drama coming, right? Like when Sawako was like, oh, I don't think of them as my friends. And then just happenstance that PE teacher, just because of plot, just drags the 2 girls away. Like, oh, I need you to do something. And they're like, wait, can't it wait? And they're like, no.
I was nearly in tears with frustration at that bit.
And they're just like, well, that's how it's from 2005.
Yeah.
We're using that misunderstanding trope. But
it's my least favorite trope in anything.
They do come to the realization that Sawako maybe, we gotta confront her, at least they weren't just sulking and giving her the silent treatment. That I liked.
Yeah.
And I just feel like it's really overly dramatic in some parts where especially, I think I can only remember that part being dramatic. I can't give any examples, but they were just staring down the highway or something like at night.
Yeah.
Contemplating. They're like saying like, I don't know, like, Yano, you can't, do you believe the words that Sawako said about us? And Yano would be like, I know, you're still thinking about her, right? Me too. like mate, like chill out. Like all I would do at that age is soak in my bed or something. I wouldn't go to like walking, looking at the night city skylines and thinking about life. But I guess when you're at that age, a potential betrayal of a friend could be that dramatic to you. So I guess like I wouldn't be too I understand those moments, but I think overall it's going. There are some you have your classic anime villain girl who's trying to get in the way of your love interest, but it's cute that they again the relentless optimism and naiveness, but also wholesomeness of Sawako, who's like, I'm not gonna antagonize you. You're just like me, who has a crush. I can relate to you. And instead of viewing her as an enemy, she viewed Ume as an ally, quote unquote. I thought it just has a lot of tropes. But I in a way, I guess you could say that it's one of the first origins because it's quite early on, right? I don't know, the manga, so I wouldn't say it created that tropes, but at that time it was quite common to have these. Only nowadays that people are trying to turn these tropes on its head and trying something new, so I wouldn't blame the manga for having those tropes. But yeah, it was nice. Yeah, I think the only thing that I think I want to like pinpoint on is how Sawako as a character, like has really low bars for men. Like,
ouch, poor Kazehaya.
Like she's like, oh, like he said my name right.
Yeah, true.
Oh
actually, yeah,
like life changing. But I guess like she's experienced a lot of bullying, which is quite sad. But out of context, that bar is pretty low. But I guess the point is that she's been through a lot in her childhood.
Because she does kind of just basically fall in love with him because he got her name right and was nice to her. Well, other people weren't.
They tried to challenge that, didn't they? They tried to ask like, or was it Ume who asked her that? Funnily enough, was like, well, do you like him? Or one of the girls was like, do you like him because he was nice to you, or was it something else? And then she went on a whole discovery, like, there's no need for a real reason to like someone or something. I can't remember.
I would have maybe, I mean, it could happen later, I don't know, liked to have seen more challenge on this, where yes, he was originally one of the first people in her school that was nice to her, and of course that's a perfectly acceptable reason if somebody stands out like that for you to have a crush on somebody. But then if you gain some self-confidence and you start getting friends, and people more generally would know that you aren't that kind of the scary Sadako from The Ring, and as Sawako hopefully becomes more popular, or at least gets a core group of friends, I'd really like to see somebody else come along that maybe puts himself in an equally advantageous position as what Kazehaya has. I know it's again a classic then love triangle trope, but just to kind of challenge, why do you like this person, and does he do anything beyond being nice to you? That's perfectly good enough, especially in real life, to like go out with somebody to like them, to enjoy their company. But this is a manga, you can do more, and I'd like to see if they do.
Yeah, sorry to go on like another rant, but there's this really cool comedy special by Daniel Sloss. It's called Jigsaw. It's on Netflix if you're interested. But he's just talking about how like in terms of love, and how it related to your self-esteem. When you love yourself like 30%, but someone just like goes a little bit beyond that, like 40%, you're like, oh my God, like that's amazing. But like you gotta have to like love yourself 100%, and so that you're not you're not settling for someone who only cares about you 40%. At that point, then if it's like true adoration and love, when someone goes like 101% or 110%, right? The standard is higher. So it's always important to love yourself first. That's why you should love yourself first. He was giving that reason. It sounds a lot more serious than a comedy special, but I promise it's funny.
It's a good point too.
Yeah, so in Sawako's case, like you said, it should be a good challenge for her to say, well, is that nicety enough to form a relationship? Is it because she never experienced niceness and thought that was what love was? But maybe it's her journey of discovering what is love.
Oh baby, don't hurt me.
Don't hurt me no more. No, that's so nice. I really, really like that. Yeah, it's just the idea of having love and respect and confidence for yourself, and you just believe in yourself a little bit more, and then that's, as long as you keep believing in yourself, no matter what happens, like you are alive, you're living on this earth. So most of the time manga has artwork.
What?
So
what do you mean most of the time?
What have you been reading?
A lot of the time manga has artwork. And for this particular manga, what did you think of the artwork in Kimi ni Todoke?
I liked it. It was very pretty. I think it still holds up well. It looks, I would say, a little dated now, just because styles have changed somewhat, but still looks good. I don't think it's aged poorly at all. I think they do well on things like the blushes and people having more than a few expressions when they're doing this kind of inner monologue, which is often quite important. I think that the manga looks better, I would argue, maybe than the anime, in the sense that I know we're not really talking about the anime here, but I think that they're both now they're not new, shall we say, and I think that the manga still looks really nice and really pretty. What were your thoughts? So
for me, I thought that the emotional moments were portrayed very, very well, and in a good way. The school moments were very, like, the kind of like drawings of like the school environment, like the desks in the classroom and stuff were very plain, but in a good way, because that's how a lot of high school students sort of perceive school in a way. But then it's sort of, it's just your backdrop, right? And so it's like more room to focus on the emotional side rather than, like, of course, like a detailed classroom is really nice, but like it's very, like, it's really nice and like simple, which I really, really like. So yeah, I thought that the classrooms were simple and well drawn, and the characters, I thought, it was very, I don't know, you can tell it was, early 2000s by the way that they kind of drew I guess, is it like the huge eyes or something?
Yeah, the faces are very distinctive for that time.
Yeah, definitely. But nonetheless, I thought it was a great fit to the story. What did you think, Sue Ellen?
Yeah, I thought it was quite cute. I must have used the word cute a lot in this podcast. There should be a counter for it.
More than Yotsubato?
I wonder. Yeah, I really like the chibi Sawako. I thought that was really cute, like the really puffy face, the bun face. I tried to find like screenshots I took, but apparently I didn't take any, but I would have taken a lot of screenshots of her in that moment. Just thought it was really cute and funny. The transition between like your classic shoujo like phase, and then sometimes it's just her being like, huh, what's happening? Like people perceive her as like this like cute, like naive girl, but then from her perspective, she's just like a zombie, like okay. Oh, yeah. Like really slow. Yeah.
Were there any significant or standout moments for you in this manga, apart from that cherry blossom scene?
I really liked the bit where they explained why she came to school like wet, like didn't have an umbrella, because because people saw her was even it cemented her reputation being Sadako even more, being all like soaked in water and have her long hair like coming down her face. But it was because she was trying to give a roadside puppy shelter, which was really cute. I was like, that's the best outcome.
I forgot about that.
That was my favorite moment.
I had a standout moment, but it was not because it was my favorite. It was my least favorite. It was the gym teacher thing where Yoshida and Yano are like pulled away when she's like, we're not friends, and then like they have to leave, and I was like, what horrendous timing. There's literally no need for that, and then for them to be like, are we friends, what's going on here? And just the lack of communication frustrates me to no end. I think if I was maybe more invested at that point, like I said earlier, if it hits you at the right point in life, it can be really dramatic and it can take a really, really like fun turn, and then having that resolution later is really satisfying. For me, I was screaming at my iPad. I was like, why would you do this? So not my favorite moment there. It did stand out, but not in the way I wanted.
Yeah, that reminds me, I have a standout moment that just made me laugh so much, but it was not the intention of the mangaka, I'm sure. It was when the girls were like, I'm gonna sit next to you, and then obviously our sunshine boy was also like, yeah, I want to sit here too, like and then they have this, and then somehow Rio just showed up, was like, hey guys, like I'm Rio. And then Yano, I think it was Yano, was like, yeah, that's my childhood friend. And then he sat next to Sunshine Boy because he sat behind her, Sawako, and she was like, oh, you don't have to sit here. And he was like, I like sitting at the back. And then he sat down, and then they had this like cute frame of them like with like sunspots coming out and flowers. Oh, and this is our like friendship group or something. And then you just see like Rio, who showed up like 2 seconds ago, just sleeping at the back within this cute panel thing. And I was like, that guy's one of the main side characters, but it's like, he's irrelevant. Why is he there? Like, it's just ruining the moment. Youth. And then just some random guy you have barely even talked to for 2 seconds in the background. That's how he's important later.
Oh my god. Speaking of like the sort of desk arrangements, when Kazehaya tried to pass the note along, and it was like a really cutesy note, and then she just passes it back to Ryu.
Yeah. That was funny.
That was a good moment.
I kind of wanted Ryu to open it just for, him to be like, huh? Then,
even more funny. Was it an invitation to somewhere? It would be funny for Rio to open it. I agree. He would be like, bro, we're friends, of course. We'll come.
Like, I love you.
Yeah.
Love all these moments in Kimi ni Todoke. So, as an OCHATO thing, we usually put a character from the previous manga we reviewed into this one. And the previous manga we reviewed was Spy X Family by Tatsuya Endo. Who do you want to bring in? Twilight or the whole family? Or how do you think they'd fare?
It's funny to consider Twilight and Yor being in the same high school together.
Oh, that's a good take on it.
Before, like, they don't remember each other, but they grow up to be a spy and an assassin.
Ooh.
I want, how would that go, huh? Like,
I feel like Twilight would, when he was like using every tactic in the book to like get, I can't remember the kid's name.
Anya?
Yeah.
Anya, to get Anya's attention, to get her to apologize. I feel like
Yeah.
he'd do the same here, but maybe he'd also help Sawako and Kazehaya with their realizations by like also projecting like a huge sunbeam.
Today's fortune, confess to your crush.
That's how I think it would go.
I like that take on it. Mine would have been a slightly aged up Anya
Mhm.
there as a side character, and she knows exactly what's up, but she's not able to like effectively get them together. So she kind of understands this, and she works as almost an enabler, trying to get the two together so they're in the same room, but then is not able to kind of say why she knows that they like each other, or maybe just understands that it's the kind of thing that needs to like blossom naturally, and you can't just be like, you like each other, right? So I would have maybe stuck her there like that, but I think I like your idea more.
Yeah, I feel like, you know what, in a weird way I can see some parallels between Yor and Sawako.
Yes.
Yeah, like they're both being quite quiet and, kind of like, I wouldn't say Yor is insecure. She's just, I don't know what's up with her actually. She's just like quite mysterious, kind of like Sawako. Maybe like, I think she'll find a friend in Sawako, like, because they're being quite similar in the sense that they're both quite introverted and often misunderstood by other people. Who knows, like maybe, yeah, like she wouldn't be an assassin by then, but but she probably be in training to be an assassin at the time. Maybe she's like, maybe there'll be like a scene where someone is like being weird and following high school girls and stuff, like, and someone targeted Sawako, and then she'll be like a ninja in action, like testing out her skills and then saving Sawako without Sawako knowing, and she just show up being like, oh, I was just out for a run and see you here. It's getting dark. Let's get home safely. Meanwhile, flash to the trash can, you see some guy like just unconscious. And the police siren going in the background. Yeah, I can see a budding friendship between the two. And I guess Twilight, I don't think, I feel like what you're describing, both of you, kind of, it just reminds me of Love is War. I feel like this is, if we bring those characters here, it's just going to be another version of Love is War.
Chaos,
Yeah,
it would be.
Instead of like the main protagonist playing mind games, it would be all the side characters playing mind games.
I'd actually love to watch that.
Yeah.
I feel like both of our main characters in this are also dense enough that it would work.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh,
yeah.
How do you think the dog Bond would fare?
You would go on an adventure with the roadside puppy, just like how that cat in The Way of the House Husband goes on adventure by itself.
I like that. I feel like Bond would help, especially with Anya, in predicting Sawako and Kazehaya's, future moments together, perhaps. And like maybe he'll help like push them together a little bit, because then Anya would be like, I see what's happening here. So yeah, I like all these ideas. Does anyone have any final thoughts?
Overall, I think the manga, I think it deserves more credit than I was giving it at the beginning, now that I think about it a bit more. It's cute, it's got your typical high school dramas. It's a story about coming of age, gaining self-confidence, and finding, relying on your friends to help you for your self-actualization, and not miscommunicating or not misunderstanding someone in every way possible, either assuming someone is creepy or assuming someone doesn't want to be your friend. Just talk to them. Just the conclusion is just talk, just communicate.
Communication.
Be, you don't have to be full force confrontational. Just be honest. Hey, let's have a conversation over some tea, perhaps, and we'll sort it out. And also, hopefully it'll be, I don't know how this manga will go, but hopefully it'll be a message in, are you settling for your crush? How do you like your crush?
Oof.
What is love? But yeah, I think I will recommend it for people who's looking for a cute romance to look into, who want to explore all the themes that I've mentioned. It's not necessary for me, but I still enjoyed it, and we enjoyed reading it and talking about it with you guys. It has its wholesome moments.
For my part, again, this is another one of the ones that I'm clearly not the target audience. I found it, should we say, a little frustrating to read some of, especially when I was comparing it to some of the, say, more rapidly paced or just twists on this concept manga. So for me, it was maybe a little less enjoyable than some of the other ones that we've read here. Nonetheless, I did like some parts of it. I did especially like the art. And the more I think about it now, the more I think that maybe I would have enjoyed some of the later chapters a lot more. So maybe we want to take another look at another time. How about you, Jay?
Interesting. Yeah, for me, I don't feel like my view on Kimi ni Todoke has changed since when I was a teenager much. I found it very easy to get lost in their world, actually, and I really liked the dynamic between our two main characters. I liked the art, and I like the character development in this manga. I think I like how you guys have brought up, the messages that are sort of either really obvious or really subtle in this manga. You need to, it would be good to, love yourself 100% so that you can find someone that can love you 101%, because
nice.
You deserve to be loved, and believe in yourself, try and find your inner confidence. So yeah, I really liked Kimi ni Todoke. What are we reading in our next episode?
Yes, good question, Jade. We are reading the Faraway Paladin. It's based on a light novel by Kanata Yanagino, and the art is done by Mitsumi Okubashi. It's an isekai. It's about a man who dies alone after living a stagnant and fruitless life, as you do, as all isekai protagonists do. But that's not where his story ends. As a boy named William is born into a land of fantasy and magic, raised in a city of the dead by his new family, a mummy, a skeleton, and a ghost, he can remember glimpses of his past life, enough to know his time on Earth was wasted, and he vows to not to let that happen again. So I read a little bit of the beginning in the light novel. Haven't finished it, but it's got a little of the found family vibe, but also a little bit of mystery going on as to who are these mummy and skeleton and ghosts and what are they doing here. So we're reading up to chapter 15. It's around, I think it's 3 volumes, and yeah, if that interests you, turn on the notification bell channel, and you'll get notified as soon as that episode gets uploaded.
Great. Well, thank you for listening to this episode of OCHATO.
We'll see you next time.
Woo!